Stewart, Bloor, and as you can tell, this isn't the riverbank or the canal side or by the edge of a pool. I'm actually at home. It's June the 15th. It's well into evening now. In fact, we're just a few hours away from the glorious 16th, and that's where I'm going to start this video, fishing proper at the side of the river. Well, I'm off to a small river. I've never fished there for barbel before, and so before I go, I want to talk you through my tackle. I'm fishing a flat lead, as you can see there. It's just 1 ounce. It is a small river, and due to the lack of rainfall recently, well, we had a good downpour a few days ago, but that will have worked through now. Due to the condition of the river, I won't need any more than that. That's free running, as you can see. And then I've got a bead over the swivel. I've got a hook length of about 2 feet, perhaps just a little bit more, and then got my hook. You see there, it's a size 6 Drennan boilie hook, and I'll be fishing hair rig bait. That was funny. Just as we were recording this, my wife's on the camera at the other end. I had a text. It was from my friend Stu Maddox. He's on the banks of the Severn waiting for midnight, and we've both said, as we're out all night tonight, that whichever one of us gets a fish first, after midnight of course, we will text each other. So Stu, he's out there already. Because mine is quite local, then I don't need to leave home quite that early. This is the bait that I'm taking with me, SBS, Serious Barbel Baits, and the flavour is Undercover. Opening the lid there, as you can see, they look like pellets. Probably an hybridisation between a pellet and a boilie, really. I am confident, in fact I'm so confident, that this is the only bait that I'm taking with me tonight. I'm fishing now. I've just cast out. I'm away from the water. It is a small river, lots of undergrowth though, so that's quite useful. I'm going to try and cut down on the amount of filming I do though, because I want to keep the light down to an absolute minimum. We're about 20 minutes into the river season. I've had my first fish, a small chub. Well, actually a nice enough chub for the size of the river, but as I had already planned beforehand, catch one fish, move on. Such a small river, one fish is going to mess the swim for a while. I will put a bit of bait in, and then depending on how I get on other swims or in other swims, I'll be back. It's 6 AM. I've been up all night. It's time to go home. No more fish, and I didn't move because I didn't get a fish from this swim. It looks a very, very promising peg, and I definitely will try this again. I had a few taps, but I suspect chub. I had a text from Stu about 2 AM. He hadn't caught anything at all, and I haven't heard since, so I guess that he had blanked. So maybe that chub wasn't such a bad fish after all. It's the only fish of the night. Back, session 2 on the small river. I've put the rod out so I'm looking away from the camera. I've arrived late afternoon. It's a scorcher of a day. The sun's very bright, and I've put a few pellets out. The river is quite narrow. I would say 2.5 meters at the most, and that's on a bend. But of course, bear in mind that you are fishing a channel of no more than a metre, so the pellets have been scattered liberally along the channel. The fish won't be far away, they will get drawn in, but the hook bait, I've enclosed that in a PVA bag of pellets and a few freebies as well, and so the intention is that the fish will start to feed on the pellets that have been scattered around the swim. And then of course they move in, and in the middle of this bed of pellets they will find this concentrated section where all my pellets have now broken free from the bag. The freebies are there as well. They'll take a few of those, get confident, take the hook bait, and as they say, the rest is history. There are a lot of chub in here, and the chub definitely outnumber the barbel, and it's impossible to try to separate one from the other really. So it will be a case of wading through the chub to get to the barbel. But I'll get there in the end, and that's the important thing. It's a new river for me. I'm enjoying the experience. It's only my second time out, and when I do start to get amongst the fish, I know that they will then come like the proverbial bus. Chub. There it is, just a small chub. I would have moved on. That was my intention anyway, catch a fish and move on. But I've had it quite early in the session and it didn't cause much commotion at all. So I'm going to recast and hopefully, you know what I'm after, hopefully I'll get one of those. I'm back on the river, third session, and I'm back amongst the chub. Session 4, this is an earlier start, hence it's quite light at the moment. I was amongst the chub last time round, no barbel as yet. I've decided to try yet another particular swim. It's quite difficult to access, but the rod's in at the moment. I've got a bait runner on, so I'll hear it if it goes off, right by my hand actually. I've just cast out. I think the barbel in this particular river aren't great in number, and of course they won't be spread out one every few yards. They'll be quite concentrated, so it's up to me as the angler to get out there and try and locate them. In the meantime, I haven't blanked yet, so I'm quite pleased with that, having some decent enough chub for a small river like this, so I'm quite happy there. But of course what I really want is my barbel. I've just had my first bite, a chub. You know when you get a chub, they pull at the bait, and for a moment, could be a barbel of course, but as soon as you strike into it, you realise what it is. In this case, typical hair rig bait that a chub picks up really, you don't get anything on the strike. But I'm encouraged by that. I have made my first change of the campaign. Instead of the undercover pellet stroke boilie, I described it as a hybrid. I think it looks like a pellet, but in many ways it feels more substantial than that. Hence I use that very subjective term, describing it as a hybrid between a pellet and a boilie. Anyway, I've decided to fish a conventional boilie, an M2, so a very hard bait. The chub plucking at the baits all the while, and sometimes just taking them off the hair. So I've gone for a much more harder traditional boilie, the M2, 10mm, so still quite small. The section I'm on at the moment, it is quite shallow, but don't let the shallow water deceive you, because fish can be in sometimes just inches of water. Into my first fish. It's a chub, I can see it in the clear shallow water. Nice enough fish though. It's come way upstream, so I'm not disturbing the bottom too much. Anyway, I'm going to disappear now. Got to drop down the bank and net it. Nice enough fish, particularly for the river that I'm on, so I'm well pleased with the start. I'm not a blanker, but I want to catch you know what. That was brilliant. I've been here just a short time so far, and I've had some pretty savage takes which have resulted in half a boilie. So my decision to switch from the undercover to the M2 has definitely paid off. The chub here aren't fish for, well, none of the fish are fish for. They're certainly not shy, they're confidently taking the bait, and also, which is encouraging as well, is that they're taking a bait which they've never seen before. So that gives me that added confidence, which is important, particularly on a river like this where I'm fishing for the needle in a haystack.